I'm Marvin Plackett, and today is Monday, June 15th. Greetings to all residents, to all staff, and to all guests. Since Friday, I'm saddened to report that we have had one more COVID-19 death. Jogues Aplay. Jogues is someone that many of us knew very well. Jogues lived at Seabury for approximately 10 years. So on our campus, he walked around a lot, and he often had a wonderful smile, and he was a very engaging person, and so we're going to miss Jogues a lot. Seabury will miss one of their long-term residents. For the last year or so, Jogues lived at Episcopal Church Home, but for the prior 10 years, he was at Seabury. So he will be missed, indeed. And it's, of course, sad when we lose anyone, and we've lost someone that we know so well. We've had 2 more COVID-19 positive confirmations, and one is a resident, one is a staff person, both at the Gardens. The resident is from Matilda House, the same house where last week we had our first COVID case at the Gardens. And the staff person also works at the Gardens. At the Gardens, there were a total of, when we got our first case reported last week, there were a total of 43 COVID tests administered, and all the rest came back negative. So that is excellent. A few more tests are going on at this time as a result of the contact tracing, but of those 43 tests, other than those 2 that I just mentioned, the rest all came back negative. Again, it's a very good sign that we're doing some things right in terms of the numbers, in terms of the percentages. We celebrate all of our successes. Also at Episcopal Church Home, we have 7 of our COVID-19 positive cases. They have graduated. That is wonderful. A huge congratulations to those 7 ECH residents. And today, in fact, some of the transfers are occurring off of the COVID unit and back to their homes at Gilbert House. And then the rest will be transferred tomorrow. Whoever doesn't get transferred today will be transferred tomorrow. So that is wonderful. Again, we celebrate our successes. Very pleased about that. So that means, to summarize what I've just explained, that means that our situation right now, as of today, we have now 11 active COVID cases, 2 are residents and 9 are staff. And those 2 COVID residents, once again, they are Gardens residents that have been transferred to our COVID unit at Episcopal Church Home. And so there's a situation. All those that from Gilbert House at Episcopal Church Home had tested positive, if we go back now, maybe it's 5-6 weeks. Again, they've all, none of them remain active COVID cases, so very pleased about that. And as I did mention, over time, our most recent death occurred yesterday. We had 2 prior deaths before that. Once again, in terms of the gradual reopening of society and the opening of our campus, remember how important it is to be vigilant at all times with social distancing and the wearing of masks, following the rules, frequent hand washing, those basics of infection control. The combination of those principles is what is going to go a long way towards keeping you safe, keeping all of us safe. Very important. That's it from me. I'll see you tomorrow at 1:30. And now for some closing words from Kristen Aitchison, a person you know well.
Hi, thank you, Marvin. I wanted to just talk about the great news from the Supreme Court today. The Supreme Court clarified that it is unlawful to fire people because they're LGBTQ. And so this is a huge victory for equality. I think it's a great shout out. And because of this, I wanted to read a poem by Audre Lorde. And she is a self-described Black, lesbian, mother, warrior, poet, and she dedicated her life and her creative talent to confronting and addressing injustices of racism, sexism, classism, and homophobia. So this is A Litany for Survival by Audre Lorde. For those of us who live at the shoreline, standing upon the constant edges of decision, crucial and alone, for those of us who cannot indulge the passing dreams of choice, who love in doorways coming and going in the hours between dawns, looking inward and outward, at once before and after, seeking a now that can breed futures, like bread in our children's mouths, so their dreams will not reflect the death of ours. For those of us who were imprinted with fear, like a faint line in the center of our foreheads, learning to be afraid with our mother's milk, for by this weapon, this illusion of some safety to be found, the heavy-footed hope to silence us for all of us, this instant and this triumph, we were never meant to survive. And when the sun rises, we are afraid it might not remain. When the sun sets, we are afraid it might not rise in the morning. When our stomachs are full, we are afraid of indigestion. When our stomachs are empty, we are afraid we may never eat again. When we are loved, we are afraid love will vanish. When we are alone, we are afraid love will never return. And when we speak, we are afraid our words will not be heard nor welcomed. But when we are silent, we are still afraid. So it is better to speak, remembering we were never meant to survive. And so today, I'm going to remember this as a big win, finally, for 2020. Thank you. Goodbye.